The sun shone brilliantly over the coastal town of Monterey, California, casting golden rays upon the lavish wedding venue. Samantha Green stood in front of a grand mirror, adjusting the delicate lace of her wedding gown. Her heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day she had dreamed of since childhood. The day she would officially become Samantha Carter, the wife of the man who had given her stability, love, and an unwavering commitment. Her bridesmaids flitted around the bridal suite, making final touches to her veil and bouquet. Her best friend, Lisa, stood beside her, squeezing her hand. "You look stunning," Lisa whispered. "Michael is going to lose his mind when he sees you." Samantha smiled, but a flicker of hesitation flashed in her eyes before she quickly masked it. Michael Carter was everything she had ever wanted in a partner. Kind, successful, and deeply in love with her. They met through mutual friends 2 years ago, and he had pursued her with a quiet intensity that made her feel safe. He had planned every detail of their future together with precision, from their honeymoon in Greece to their dream home in San Francisco. Yet, as she stared at her reflection, a nagging thought crept into her mind. Was she truly ready to let go of the past? The ceremony was nothing short of a fairy tale. White roses adorned the aisle, the scent of fresh lilies filled the air, and a soft symphony played in the background as Samantha walked toward Michael. The guests, a mix of family and close friends, watched in admiration. Michael's face lit up the moment he saw her, his brown eyes glistening with love. As she approached him, she felt a rush of warmth. Whatever doubts had surfaced earlier seemed to fade away, at least for now. "You look breathtaking," he whispered as she reached him. The vows were heartfelt, with both promising eternal love, fidelity, and a lifetime of happiness. When the officiant finally declared them husband and wife, applause erupted as Michael pulled her into a passionate kiss. The reception was just as magical. Toasts were made, laughter filled the ballroom, and the couple danced beneath a ceiling of twinkling lights. Michael twirled Samantha across the dance floor, his grip firm yet gentle. "This is only the beginning," he murmured in her ear. "I'm going to make you the happiest woman alive." She smiled, resting her head against his chest. But even as she swayed in his arms, a small part of her couldn't shake the thought of someone else, someone she had promised to forget. That night, as they arrived at their honeymoon suite, Michael was the picture of blissful excitement. He carried Samantha over the threshold, making her laugh as he set her down on the plush bed. They toasted to their future with glasses of champagne, but as Michael leaned in to kiss her, her phone vibrated. A chill ran down her spine when she saw the name on the screen, Jason Miller. Her heart clenched as she stared at the notification. It was just a text, just words on a screen, but it carried a weight she wasn't prepared for. Michael didn't notice. He was already kissing her neck, whispering sweet promises of their future together. Samantha put the phone face down on the nightstand, but even as she lost herself in Michael's embrace, her thoughts drifted elsewhere. Some doors, it seemed, were never fully closed. The morning sun filtered through the curtains of the honeymoon suite, casting a golden glow on Samantha's face. Michael was still asleep beside her, his arm draped over her waist in a protective embrace. She lay still, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying the events of the night before. Not the wedding, not the vows, but the unread message from Jason Miller. Slowly, she reached for her phone, careful not to wake Michael. Her fingers trembled as she unlocked the screen and opened the text. "Jason, I know it's too late, but I can't let you go without saying goodbye. Please, Sam. One last time." Her breath hitched. Jason had always known how to pull her back in. Jason wasn't just an ex. He was her first love, the man who had once been her entire world. They met in college, and from the moment their eyes locked across the lecture hall, their connection was undeniable. Their love was passionate, intense, and all-consuming. But Jason had his demons. Commitment had always terrified him. Whenever Samantha spoke about settling down, he would brush it off, promising that they had all the time in the world. But time passed, and his promises never materialized. A year ago, After 4 years of waiting for Jason to be ready, Samantha made the painful decision to walk away. She was tired of being in limbo, tired of hoping he would change. Then she met Michael. Michael was everything Jason wasn't: stable, secure, and ready for the future. With Michael, there was no uncertainty. He proposed after a year, and she said yes, believing it was the right thing to do. But Jason never accepted their breakup. When he found out about her engagement, he begged her to reconsider. He called, he sent long emails, he even showed up at her office unannounced. Each time, she ignored him. She told herself it was over. So why, 2 days after marrying another man, was she still thinking about him? Samantha stared at Jason's message, her heart pounding. She knew the right thing to do was to delete it, to block his number, to move on. Instead, she hesitated. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Samantha, Jason, we can't do this. I'm married now. Almost immediately, the typing bubble appeared. Jason, I know. I just need to see you. Just once. Then I'll leave you alone forever. Her throat tightened. A part of her wanted to ignore him. But another part, the part that still remembered the way he used to hold her, the way he made her heart race, couldn't resist. One last time. One final goodbye. She convinced herself it would bring closure. That she needed this meeting to finally let go. She had no idea it would be the last mistake she ever made. Samantha spent the rest of the morning trying to shake off the uneasiness that settled in her chest. She should have deleted Jason's message. She should have blocked his number. She should have focused on her new life with Michael. But no matter how hard she tried, Jason's words echoed in her mind. I just need to see you. Just once. Then I'll leave you alone forever. She convinced herself that meeting him would be harmless. A simple conversation, a final goodbye, and then she could close that chapter for good. Michael had planned a romantic brunch at a beachfront cafe that morning, eager to celebrate their first full day as husband and wife. He was glowing with happiness, talking about their honeymoon plans in Santorini, completely unaware of the turmoil brewing inside her. You're quiet today, Michael observed, squeezing her hand across the table. Are you tired? Samantha forced a smile. Yeah. Just exhausted from all the wedding excitement. He smiled warmly. Well, once we're in Greece, it'll just be us. No stress. No wedding planning. Just paradise. She nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. Later that afternoon, when Michael suggested they spend the evening at a couple's spa, she hesitated. I actually made plans to see Lisa tonight, she lied, hoping he wouldn't press for details. Michael looked slightly disappointed but nodded. That's fine, babe. Just don't stay out too late. He leaned in to kiss her. I'll miss you. Samantha's heart clenched with guilt. I'll be back soon. She had no idea she would never return. Dressed in jeans and a sweater, Samantha drove toward Jason's apartment just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The entire time, she repeated the same mantra in her head. This is just closure. Just one last time. She pulled into the parking lot of Jason's complex and took a deep breath. The moment she stepped out of her car, an eerie sense of déjà vu washed over her. She had spent so many nights here, sneaking in and out of his place, tangled in love and heartbreak. She knocked hesitantly. Within seconds, the door swung open. Jason stood there, his dark eyes locking onto hers. He looked exhausted, as if he hadn't slept in days. His shirt was wrinkled, his jaw covered in stubble. But there was something else in his expression. Something unreadable. You came, he whispered. Samantha swallowed hard. I shouldn't have. He stepped aside, silently inviting her in. Against her better judgment, she walked through the door. The apartment looked exactly the same. Dimly lit, smelling faintly of cologne and old memories. Samantha crossed her arms, suddenly feeling vulnerable. I don't have long, she said. You look beautiful, Jason interrupted, his voice raw with emotion. She ignored the way her heart fluttered. Jason, I need you to understand something. I'm married now. This whatever we had, it's over. Jason exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. I know. I just needed to see you one last time. To tell you how sorry I am. Samantha felt a lump form in her throat. You should have said that a year ago. Jason clenched his fists, his eyes darkening. I was scared, Sam. I wasn't ready then, but I am now. Her stomach twisted. It's too late. Silence fell between them. The weight of unspoken words lingered in the air. Jason suddenly took a step closer. Do you still love me? Samantha's breath caught in her throat. She should have said no. She should have walked away. Instead, she hesitated. That moment of silence was all Jason needed to make his move. Before she could react, Jason cupped her face and pressed his lips to hers. It was familiar, intoxicating. Every memory they had ever shared crashing down on her at once. For one fleeting moment, she let herself melt into the kiss. Then reality hit her like a freight train. She shoved him away, gasping. No, Jason, this isn't right. But Jason's expression had changed. His desperation had turned to something darker. You still love me, he whispered. No, she said firmly, stepping back toward the door. This was a mistake. I shouldn't have come. She turned to leave, reaching for the doorknob. That was when Jason lost control. His voice came out in a growl. You're not walking away from me again. Before she could scream, his hand clamped around her wrist, yanking her back into the apartment. And that was when Samantha knew she had made a fatal mistake. Panic surged through Samantha's veins as Jason's grip tightened around her wrist. His fingers dug into her skin, his breathing heavy with rage and desperation. Jason, let go of me, she gasped, struggling to break free. But he didn't. Instead, he slammed the door shut behind her, trapping her inside. You think you can just walk away from me? He hissed, his dark eyes burning with emotion. After everything we've been through? Fear clawed at her throat. She had known Jason to be intense, even possessive at times, but this was different. There was something unhinged in the way he looked at her now. Jason, please, she pleaded, her voice trembling. This isn't you. You're scaring me. He scoffed. Scaring you? Do you have any idea what you did to me, Sam? You left me. You ran off and married him like I never meant anything to you. Tears welled in her eyes. You weren't ready for me, Jason. I waited for you. I begged you to love me the way I deserved. And you didn't. His jaw clenched. He began pacing the room, running a hand through his hair, his frustration bubbling over. I thought you'd come back, he muttered. I thought you just needed time. But you... He spun around to face her, his voice laced with venom. You married him. You gave him my future. Samantha took a cautious step back, her heartbeat hammering in her ears. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. Jason's lips curled into a bitter smile. But you did. Samantha's mind raced, searching for a way out. She needed to stay calm, needed to reason with him. You don't want to do this, she said softly. Michael, he's expecting me. If I don't come home soon, he'll call the police. Jason laughed coldly. You think I care? He took slow, deliberate steps toward her, his body radiating fury. If I can't have you, he sure as hell won't either. Dread pooled in her stomach. She turned on her heel and sprinted toward the door. But Jason was faster. He grabbed her from behind, his arm wrapping around her neck as he yanked her back with terrifying force. Samantha let out a choked scream, thrashing in his grip, her nails clawing at his arms. Stop fighting me, Sam, he shouted, his voice shaking. I love you. But love wasn't supposed to feel like this. Samantha's vision blurred as she struggled against him, her lungs burning for air. Jason's grip was relentless, his breathing erratic. She twisted her body, managing to stomp on his foot with all her strength. He yelped in pain, loosening his hold just enough for her to break free. Gasping, she bolted for the kitchen, searching frantically for anything she could use to defend herself. Her eyes landed on a knife block near the sink. Jason lunged at her. She grabbed the largest knife and swung it wildly. Stay back, she cried, her hands trembling. Jason froze, his eyes flicking between the blade and her tear-streaked face. For a moment, she thought he might let her go. But then his expression shifted. "You wouldn't hurt me," he murmured, taking a slow step forward. "I know you, Sam." Her grip tightened on the knife. Jason reached for her, and in a split second she made her choice. She swung the knife again, this time slicing through the air between them. Jason recoiled, just barely dodging the blade. His face twisted in rage. "You would rather kill me than love me?" he bellowed. Samantha's hands shook. "Just let me go, Jason. Please." His entire body trembled with unspoken fury. Then suddenly he stilled. His breathing slowed. Samantha didn't have time to process the shift before Jason lunged once more. This time he had the knife. Her own knife. Her scream was cut short as she felt the cold steel pierce her abdomen. A sharp, unbearable pain exploded through her body as she stumbled backward, her legs giving out beneath her. Jason caught her before she hit the ground, lowering her gently, almost tenderly. Tears streamed down his face as he cradled her in his arms. "I didn't mean to," he whispered, rocking her gently. "You weren't supposed to fight me." Samantha's lips parted, but no sound came out. The warmth of her own blood seeped through her sweater, pooling beneath her. Her vision blurred. The room faded. The last thing she heard was Jason murmuring, "If I can't have you, no one can." Then darkness. Jason sat on the cold floor, cradling Samantha's lifeless body in his arms. His hands were soaked in her blood, his breathing ragged as reality sank in. She was gone. Her eyes, once full of fire and love, were now dull and motionless. The warmth of her skin was already fading beneath his trembling fingers. A deep, guttural sob tore through his throat. "I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to." He rocked her gently, as if he could undo what he had done, as if he could take back the moment his jealousy had turned into something irreversible. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. Samantha was supposed to stay. She was supposed to remember how much she loved him, to realize that she had made a mistake marrying Michael. Instead, she had fought him. Instead, she had chosen to leave. And now she was gone forever. Jason brushed a strand of hair from her face, his vision blurred with tears. "I love you," he whispered, pressing a trembling kiss to her forehead. "I always loved you." But love wasn't supposed to be this cruel. The weight of his actions crushed him. Jason's heart pounded as he stared at the spreading pool of blood beneath them. His mind raced. What had he done? This wasn't just a mistake. This was murder. Michael. The thought of him sent a fresh wave of fury through Jason's veins. Samantha had belonged to him, but she had chosen another man. And now Michael would be waiting for her, completely unaware that his wife would never return home. Jason clenched his fists. He couldn't let Michael take her away in life, and he sure as hell wouldn't let him have her in death. But what now? His hands shook as he stood up, his legs weak beneath him. He had to think. He had to fix this. He staggered toward his phone, smearing blood across the screen as he checked the time. It was almost midnight. Nobody knew she was here. Nobody had seen her come in. That meant he still had time. Time to get rid of her. Jason wiped his face with the back of his hand, his breath coming in short, shallow gasps. His mind was clouded with panic, but one thought overpowered everything else. He couldn't get caught. Dragging his hands through his hair, he looked around the apartment. He needed to clean up the blood. He needed to get rid of her body. But how? His eyes landed on a large duffel bag in the corner of the room. It would have to do. Jason swallowed back bile as he moved toward Samantha's lifeless form. He hesitated before touching her again. She still looked so peaceful, as if she were only sleeping. For a brief second, his resolve wavered. Maybe I should turn myself in. But then, his mind twisted the memory of what had happened. This was her fault. If she hadn't come here, if she hadn't fought him, if she had just admitted she still loved him, Jason forced the thoughts away. This wasn't the time for guilt. This was the time for survival. He grabbed the duffel bag, unzipped it, and braced himself for what came next. Then, with shaking hands, he began to erase the only woman he had ever loved. Jason worked quickly, his hands trembling as he stuffed Samantha's lifeless body into the duffel bag. Her limbs were limp, her once warm skin now eerily cold. He zipped it up, his breath shaky. Blood was everywhere, on the floor, on his clothes, under his fingernails. He grabbed a towel and began scrubbing frantically, but the deep crimson stains refused to disappear completely. Think, Jason. Think. He needed to get rid of the body. Fast. His car. He could drive to the river, dump her where no one would ever find her. Checking his phone, he saw a missed call from Michael. A chill ran down his spine. Michael was looking for her. Jason grabbed his keys, slung the heavy bag over his shoulder, and stepped into the darkness of the night. There was no turning back now. Jason tossed the duffel bag into the trunk, slamming it shut with shaking hands. His pulse pounded in his ears as he slid into the driver's seat and started the engine. The streets were eerily quiet as he drove, his fingers gripping the wheel so tightly they turned white. His mind raced with every possibility. What if someone saw him? What if the police stopped him? His phone buzzed again. Michael. He ignored it. The river was 20 miles away. If he could just make it there, if he could just make her disappear, this nightmare would be over. But deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. Jason sped down the empty highway, his mind fixated on the river ahead. Every second counted. Then, flashing red and blue lights in his rearview mirror. His stomach dropped. A police car. His hands tightened on the steering wheel as he slowed down, pulling to the side. His heartbeat thundered in his chest as an officer approached. Jason forced a shaky smile as the cop leaned down. You were driving a little fast. Everything all right? Jason nodded quickly. Yeah, just a long night. The officer's eyes flicked toward the trunk. Jason held his breath. License and registration, the officer said. Jason reached for his wallet, praying the cop wouldn't hear the faint thudding of his own racing heart. Jason's hands trembled as he handed over his license. The officer studied it for a moment, then shined his flashlight into the car. Where are you headed this late? Jason forced a casual shrug. Just clearing my head. Rough night. The cop seemed to consider this, then nodded. Slow it down. Get home safe. Relief flooded Jason as the officer walked back to his car. The moment the flashing lights disappeared, he exhaled sharply and gripped the wheel. He wasn't safe yet. The river was still miles away. He pressed the gas pedal harder. Jason pulled up to the riverbank, the night air thick with tension. He popped the trunk and stared at the duffel bag, his breath unsteady. This was it. No turning back. He dragged the bag to the edge of the river, the weight of his crime heavier than ever. The cold water lapped at his feet as he shoved the bag forward. It splashed, sinking beneath the surface. Jason watched until the ripples disappeared. Then, with shaking hands, he turned back toward his car, never noticing the single strand of Samantha's hair caught on the zipper, floating gently on the water. Days passed. Jason lived in constant fear, jumping at every knock on the door. But there was no news. No sign of Samantha, until the headlines broke. Missing newlywed's body found in river. Jason's blood ran cold. They had found her, and now they would come for him. Detectives pieced together Samantha's last movements. Security footage showed her entering Jason's apartment, but never leaving. Michael, devastated and suspicious, told police about Jason. The investigation closed in. Jason knew it was only a matter of time. Jason barely had time to react before the detectives grabbed his wrists and snapped the cold handcuffs around them. His mind went blank, his body frozen in place. You're under arrest for the murder of Samantha Evans, one of them said firmly. You have the right to remain silent. The words blurred in Jason's ears. This couldn't be happening. Neighbors peeked through their windows as officers escorted him outside. The flashing red and blue lights illuminated his pale face. Reporters swarmed the street, cameras capturing every second. As he was shoved into the back of the police car, Jason's eyes darted around in panic. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. But deep down, he knew. From the moment he laid his hands on Samantha, his fate had already been sealed. Jason sat in the cold, dimly lit interrogation room, his wrists still cuffed to the metal table. Sweat trickled down his back as the door creaked open. 2 detectives stepped in, their eyes sharp and unrelenting. One of them dropped a file onto the table, flipping it open to reveal crime scene photos. Samantha's lifeless body, the duffel bag, the bloodstains. Jason swallowed hard. "Want to tell us what happened?" one detective asked, leaning forward. I don't know," Jason stammered. The detective slammed a hand on the table. "Cut the crap. We have surveillance footage. We have phone records. We have her hair on your car's trunk latch." Jason's heart pounded. He was trapped. He could confess, or he could lie. Either way, the truth was coming for him. Jason exhaled shakily, his walls crumbling under the weight of the evidence. His mind raced for a way out, but there was none. He looked up at the detectives, their eyes drilling into him. "I didn't mean to," he muttered. His voice was barely above a whisper. One of the detectives leaned in. "Didn't mean to what, Jason?" Tears welled in his eyes. His hands clenched into fists. "She was leaving," he choked out. "She was walking away. I just snapped." The room fell silent. Jason let his head drop, knowing there was no escape. He had just sealed his fate. Months later, Jason sat in the courtroom, shackled and dressed in an orange jumpsuit. The air was heavy with tension as the judge entered, and the trial began. Michael sat in the front row, his face pale and grief-stricken. Samantha's family glared at Jason, their eyes burning with hatred. The prosecution wasted no time painting Jason as a jealous, possessive ex who couldn't let go. They presented damning evidence: Samantha's last texts, security footage, and the duffel bag found in the river. The defense tried to argue that it was a crime of passion, not premeditated murder. But nothing could erase what Jason had done. As the jury listened, Jason felt the walls closing in. Deep down, he already knew this trial wasn't about proving his guilt. It was about deciding how long he would spend behind bars. The courtroom fell silent as the jury returned. Jason's heart pounded in his chest, his fingers gripping the edge of the table. The judge turned to the foreperson. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "Yes, Your Honor." Jason held his breath. The foreperson cleared their throat. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Carter, guilty of second-degree murder." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Samantha's mother broke down in tears, clutching Michael's hand. Jason slumped in his seat, his world shattering. The judge's voice cut through the noise. "Jason Carter, you are hereby sentenced to 25 years to life in prison." Jason barely heard the rest. His body felt numb as officers led him away. As he stepped into his prison cell, reality sank in. Samantha was gone, and now so was his freedom. His obsession had destroyed everything, and for the rest of his life, he would have nothing left but regret.